everyone, and welcome to the Snack Bar. Yes, it is a big episode today because there's two big movies we're going to review. So let's quickly get on it. Jed, what did you see this past 2 weeks, I guess?
Hi, I'm Jedd, and she's Gerry.
Yes, I'm Gerry. I almost said I'm Jed. I'm Gerry, and you're Jed. So what do you watch this week, Jed?
Yeah, I watched this really terrible Russian superhero movie called Zakshidniki or Guardians. Wait a minute. Something's happening. Ah!
Oh, Jed, are you okay?
Ah! Hello, is me, Vasily. Jedd is, how you say, in this post.
Who are you? Again?
I am Vasily. I am not Russian spy. I repeat, I do not work for FSB. I don't know why anybody would assume that.
Okay, I'm sorry, but can you review movies? Because I kind of need Jed back.
Is very good movie. Nothing to say. Is Russian superhero movie better than Avengers? Better than DC?
Better than Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe?
Yes, because Guardians of the Galaxy don't have men who turn into bear and hold a machine gun.
Okay.
And don't have women who turn into water, don't have men who control mountain, and don't have a ripoff of Winter Soldier who can teleport and swing around swords.
That sounds a little bit like X-Men, though.
No. Do not accuse us. Why everybody think Russia is... Wait. Down, Vasily. Okay, oh gosh, what happened?
Oh, Jed, welcome back.
Yeah, hi.
I don't know.
I'm Jedd. I'm okay. What did I miss? This guy jumped on me and...
Well, some Russian guy came in and said that, his movie was better than Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier and all the Marvel and DC films.
No, that's
what was that about?
Guardians is terrible. It's really, really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So... Why? I don't know why someone would want to attack me over an opinion, but maybe it's a Russia thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
They are known for doing things backwards. Sorry, that's very racist.
No, it's not racism, it just happened. You just heard it happen. Yeah, so the thing is that this movie, people have been talking about it online and passing around the trailer and making gifs and going, oh, this is so awesome, this is better than Avengers, this is better than all of the Western superhero things because it's novel and it's weird. But the thing is, it fails on a lot of basic levels as a movie. Structurally, it's kind of odd. There's too much exposition. And the visual effects work. Some of it works, some of it really doesn't. The sound mixing is terrible. The soundtrack is way too loud. The music is way too loud in the mix. The acting is super stiff. And yeah, it's really unintentionally funny. So I kind of got a little bit upset because John Louis of the Straits Times, he gave this a 3.5 out of 5, and then he gave Kong Skull Island a 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's absurd. Yeah, it comes to the question of how do you rate something that is so bad it's good? You give it a positive rating because it's so bad it's good. And here's why I come down on it. How I give movies ratings is whether or not it achieves what I think it should accomplish. So this wants to be an exciting, coherent superhero movie, and it's not that.
Well, do you think you'll get a cult following because it's too weird and too dumb? Like, I guess, is it like the Batman and Robin of this generation?
I don't know. I think it could get a cult following, but I think that people are seeing through it because in Russia, it had really good box office for one weekend. And then the second weekend, it dropped off 90% because of that word of mouth. So I think people know that this is a bad movie. And surprise, surprise, the sequel is being co-funded by China and will feature Chinese superheroes alongside the Russian superheroes.
So what's the story about? I haven't gotten the story of Guardians yet.
Yeah, so it's really jingoistic, like propaganda-y, which you would expect. The superheroes, they are formed by an organization called Patriot. So they're the result of genetic engineering conducted by Soviet scientists in the 80s. And each of the 4 characters represent one country from the Soviet Union. I know the mountain guy is from Armenia, for example. And they have been lying dormant for 20, 30 years. And because they are enhanced beings, they don't age. So in the
Okay.
present day, they're called upon by the Russian government because there's a mad scientist who's running amok, Kuratov, and Kuratov used to work for Patriot, and then he got caught in an accident and became this huge like cyborg monster. So Kuratov, he has control of a device called Module 1, and Module 1 is a remote control with which he can take over any electronic equipment. So he turns the military's drones against them. So the Guardians are called upon, and they're all like hiding different places, and they are recruited to help this guy, help the government fight this guy. It's just really generic, basics of the
It
hero
is
stuff,
very generic.
and yeah,
I see.
they're trying to sell it based on the powers, but we've all seen these powers before. We've seen like guy who can control rocks before, and Terra from the Teen Titans is basically her power. And then
Mm-hmm.
we've seen like an invisible woman before. There's a character called Invisible Woman, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy who looks like Winter Soldier, his deal is he has these huge swords, this like curved sickle shaped sword, and he can teleport. So we've seen that before. And then I guess the most novel one is the Werebear, but the Werebear, the joke wears off really quickly.
Does this film take itself seriously, or is it knows what it is and it has fun with that?
That's
Too much fun, probably.
that's where it's a little bit difficult to answer because it does want to be taken seriously enough, but they do have jokes like when the water lady is riding the bear guy in bear form like through an abandoned shopping mall. I think it knows it's being goofy,
Mm-hmm.
but it also thinks the action sequences are super cool, and it thinks that the slow
Okay.
motion is really cool and the CGI is awesome. So you've got that, like they really feel that this is on the level of the Marvel movies, and that kind of like it's a bit adorable that they think so. At the same time, it is kind of a bit too boring to be so bad it's good is the problem. It's Batman and Robin, say what you will, is not boring.
Oh, I would say it's boring.
Not really. I think it's colorful enough and it shows nonsense things at you all the time. I don't think Batman and Robin people do a lot of standing around reading you the history of the super team,
Okay.
which is what happens in this. It's just got the general standing is like, okay, guys, so this is what happened, and then they go over it, and you get the same title card twice, which I find very weird. Like the title card comes up and goes Guardians, and then the title card comes up again, it says Guardians.
I think they just forgot, to be honest.
The reason the title card comes out the second time is they want it to be cool, where they're saying, and we call them Guardians, or the general is saying we refer to this team as. Then the title card comes again. But if you wanted to do that, you should have done it only once, right?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
So just a lot of stupid things.
All right. So basically, don't watch this film.
Yeah.
So just today, I watched this Japanese film called A Silent Voice,
Mm.
but there's actually a name, like an English name for this that I don't know what it's called because it sounds so dumb that I just forgot about it. But anyway, the Japanese translation, it's A Silent Voice, and it's about this young boy who used to bully this girl who is deaf, his classmate who was deaf, and because of that, people bullied him for bullying her, and so a few years have passed, and he decided, he was such a huge jerk back then, so he wanted to apologize to her. So they formed this friendship, and maybe this friendship blossoms into something else. So yeah, this film unfortunately came out at the same time as Kimi no Na wa.
Also got buried by that.
Well, it wasn't buried, but I think a lot of people were more focused on Kimi no Na wa, but people did know that this film exists. Because I saw this film on my Facebook like a lot of times, and I'm really glad that they brought it to Singapore because I was very interested in this film. It's an okay film. Like, I think you can tell that it's not a very high budget film because there's a lot of weird animations that looks kind of ugly, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's not I don't think that's a frame that's just wow, that looks amazing. Like it blows your mind, it's a competent film. I quite like it. I like the two main characters a lot. I find it funny because I prefer, and I shouldn't be comparing both of them, but I do prefer Kimi no Na wa, but I think that this film has a lot more to say about human nature and how bullying affects someone, and how it affects them, for the rest of their lives. Because this boy, he was bullied as a kid, and because of that, he can't. He thinks that everyone around him is his enemy, and he thinks that. I'm sure you've had this feeling before where you have so low confidence in yourself that whenever you go out, you think that people are just talking bad about you, and they think like, oh, that guy should just die, or I mean, not
Yeah,
die, but
yeah.
that guy looks really ugly. Oh, why is he wearing those glasses? Oh, those teeth aren't straight, stuff
Wow,
like
that's
that.
very specific.
But yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, so I mean, I felt that way before too. So for that, I can relate to the main character a lot, and I like how they slowly build up this friendship between both of them, and it's very cute. And I like that this film, it shows that it represents deaf people, which I think needs to be done more in cinema, because those people exist, and I like that they never really they use that as a plot device, I guess, but it's never a negative plot device. It's what she goes through because she's deaf, but it doesn't define who she is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this film. It's oh, it's not fun. It's kind of sad, but I think my main problem with this is that it's a little bit too anime, like a little bit too over dramatic sometimes.
Right.
There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of
Histrionics, I suppose. Yeah.
it's very when I don't know how to say this, because a little bit of friendship wins and stuff like that,
Okay,
I don't. Yeah.
Like
What else?
Is it like a bit too sentimental? Is that the right word?
It is sentimental, but I sometimes a little bit too over the top. But at the same time, you're like, okay, I guess I can see why this character feels this way.
And you like feel for the characters and you get invested in their journey.
Well, here's the thing. I never really fell in love with anyone in this film. And I think the only reason why I have an emotional response to the main character is because I know what the main character feels like. I mean, I've never been bullied that badly, but I do know what it's like to just hate on yourself so much and to think that you don't deserve any good in the world.
Right.
And yeah, so because of that, I can relate to the main character, but I never fell in love with the main characters like I did with a lot of other films that I love.
Yeah, so you were able to find like an emotional foothold, but it was not enough to keep you there. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
But I did feel entertained throughout the film. Very weird editing though, but I quite like this film. I wouldn't recommend it to people like you who aren't into anime.
Yeah, like not at all.
And I'm not into anime either. Yeah, I'm not into anime, so I thought that it was just okay. And it did enough to not feel like a typical romantic anime film.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like
I
the
think
themes are kind of worthwhile that they're exploring.
Yeah, I think it's a good film, just not a fantastic great one that I think people should go out and see, and me begging them to see.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you've watched this week, Jedd? Or last week?
No, not really. Yeah, I missed actually the press screenings for both Logan and Beauty and the Beast because I was away. So
okay, well, away in America, which is not that bad.
Right, yeah, I was in LA over Oscar weekend, so I didn't get into the Oscars, of course, but I managed to attend a couple of seminars leading up to it. So I got to go for the Best Animated Feature seminar, which is kind of fun.
You're so lucky.
So yeah, we had the directors of all of the Best Animated Feature films except for the French ones because they were away at the César Awards. But so the Zootopia people and the Kubo people and the Moana people went up top, which is fun. And then
you're so lucky.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I'm so jealous right now. Animation, that's like my thing too.
It
okay.
is, yeah, and Best Hair and Makeup. So that was fun because they had all of the appliances on display in the lobby. So they had a really cool setup, like a show and tell sort of thing. Yeah, and the guy the main guy for Suicide Squad, Alejandro Bertolazzi, was very, very entertaining. So he is the one who had that quote that I put out on my Facebook, where he, in his very thick Italian accent, says that Enchantress, she is a leaf for many years in a cave, without the friends, without the conditioner.
Oh, right, okay,
I love that quote, just fell over laughing, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I went to Disneyland in California, and then I fell really, really sick. But I had a lot of fun
Oh,
there.
you went to where?
I went to Disneyland in Anaheim. I ran around and Haunted Mansion and all that. I love the Haunted Mansion. I just forgot how good that was. Like how much work and how cool the effects are and how nice the storytelling is, really. The visual storytelling.
Yeah, the Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite rides in Disneyland. Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the
Pirates was
Caribbean.
closed. Yeah, I was
Oh,
bummed out.
maybe it's for the new film.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I heard, that they were installing, like, they were refurbishing it to coincide with the release of Dead Man Tell No Tales.
Okay, and my other favorite one is Tower of Terror. Fun fact: I also got sick when I went to LA after I went to Disneyland.
Yeah, I think it happens, right? You just run around the whole day, and but my favorite ride has to be Indiana Jones. It's so
Oh,
good.
okay.
Because I love rides that make you feel like you're in the middle of the movie, and that one does that the best. And to be surrounded by the John Williams score, which they also did for Hyperspace Mountain. So they gave Space Mountain this overhaul, and they themed it towards Star Wars. So you are in the
Oh.
roller coaster as John Williams is surrounding you, which is
Oh, I
so
did-
rad. Yeah.
I think I went like 3 or 4 years ago, so that didn't happen.
No, yeah, and right now they are in the middle of constructing Star Wars Land, so I'm there about 2 years
Yeah.
too early. In
Well,
2019,
well, don't worry.
Yeah, they will.
Don't worry, I'm going back to I think Universal Studios Japan this year, so I can do Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and after that, I think in 2020 they'll have Nintendo Land, so I can just focus right on Nintendo Land.
Yeah,
That's my
I
plan.
actually really want to do Universal Osaka because it's one of the few ones that still has Terminator. In Hollywood, Terminator has been replaced by Minions.
Oh, that's so sad.
No, Terminator is a great, great attraction. It's just really clever. It really captured my imagination when I was 11.
I've never said that before.
So the way that works is you go into a theater and it's set up like a corporate presentation by Cyberdyne, and then the presentation is interrupted by Sarah Connor and John Connor, and then the T-1000 appears and kills the presenter, and then the T-800 appears on a bike and drives into the screen. So then you watch a 3D film, and then they drive back out, and then they fight like a giant T-1 million, which is a T-1000 but in a spider form, on the screen. So there's an interaction between live actors in a 3D film. It is really cool.
Oh, okay.
And the film itself was directed by James Cameron.
Oh.
With the real Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Was made like in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
He must have looked old.
But I can understand
okay.
why
That's
they think
cool.
it's outdated enough to replace it with Minions, which makes me sad.
The Minions ride was okay though. Like I hate the Minions, but it was
I
okay.
thought it's good. I didn't go.
Oh, I was there during their like I think they just started it, so they were just testing it out. But okay, anyway, let's go on to the real.
Yeah, because
the real movies.
Stuff to talk about today.
Kong Skull Island. Jedd, what is that about?
So Kong Skull Island is the second entry in what is being called the Monster Verse. So this is a spin-off from 2014's Godzilla, a Legendary and Warner Brothers. So Kong Skull Island is set in 1973, towards the end of the Vietnam War. Monarch, the organization we were introduced to in Godzilla, one of their top officials, Bill Randa, played by John Goodman, has discovered this mysterious island in the South Pacific after a satellite survey. So he and this geologist is working under him, played by Corey Hawkins. They pitched the government to let them undertake an expedition and go to this island. So once this is okay, they need to gather together a team. So they have Preston Packard, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who is the leader of a helicopter squadron. And they have this former SAS commando, Conrad, played by Tom Hiddleston, who is their tracker. And they have a photojournalist, an anti-war photojournalist named Mason Weaver, played by Brie Larson, who has caught wind of this thing and feels like it may be her next big story. So together with a whole bunch of military guys and some like surveyors and stuff, they fly into this island where they encounter Kong. Kong is a gigantic ape, and he rules the island. And normally he's supposed to be quite benevolent, but they have intruded on his land, they've dropped bombs, and so he's angry with them. The expedition comes across this like slightly crazy old dude played by John C. Reilly, and it turns out that he has been on the island since World War II, and he has befriended the locals, and he's going to teach them how to try and get off the island and how to try not to get on the bad side of Kong and the various other nasty creatures that call Skull Island home. Just as Preston Packard develops this crazy obsession with hunting and killing Kong to take revenge for the men whom he has lost.
So this film was rated PG-13. Very brutal for a PG-13 film.
Yeah, I loved it. No, it was a lot of fun to watch people's reactions. Like the lady sitting next to my dad was freaking out every time there was a jump scare.
Yes. There was this kid that was in my theater.
Mm-hmm.
He was scared out of his mind.
It's frightening, yeah, for a kid, especially because there's impalements and there's blood and but it is all like monster movie violence, so it's stuff you would expect from a creature feature. It's just that it is a little bit jarring, but the tone of the movie is very fun.
Very fun. I mean, they did the Guardians of the Galaxy thing where they had fun upbeat music to go with their action or when there's no danger around. And
they did some like meta jokes which I thought were really funny. Like John Goodman is introduced getting out of a car in Washington DC declaring, "I swear, I mark my words, it's going to be the worst and most screwed up time in Washington DC," which is hilarious. Then they give Samuel L. Jackson this fantastic joke that I don't want to spoil, but it's so good. I laughed. Like it took me a second to register that he did that, and I laughed. And then, I
mean, I did like that they made Samuel L. Jackson in this film.
Yeah, he has a bit where he goes, "Bitch, please," and he's just doing his thing. And
it's really nice to see Jason. I think Jason Mitchell, right, the one from Straight Outta Compton.
Right. Yeah. Straight.
I really liked him as Eazy-E, or is it Easy-A?
Eazy-E. Yeah. Jason Mitchell. He's one of the helicopter pilots, right? But he's not. Corey Hawkins is the nerdy guy with the glass. I like him too.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know who he was. Where's he from?
Let me see where Corey Hawkins is from. I think he is from Straight Outta Compton. I know that currently he is playing the lead in 24 Legacy. I think he might have actually been who was he in Straight Outta Compton? Was he Dr. Dre? He could have been Dr.
No.
Let me see. I'm googling it now.
Okay, yeah, I like him too. And,
yeah, he was Dr. Dre. So it's a reunion of Dr. Dre and Eazy, which is interesting.
So it's a reunion. Yeah, I really liked him as well. Oh man, what a great! Like, I'm not a fan of Straight Outta Compton, but I really love that cast so much. Like the main three actors, they were really good.
Ice Cube's kid,
Ice Cube's son. Yeah.
This movie has a fun supporting cast. Like everywhere you look, it's awesome people. John Goodman, John C. Reilly, Samuel L. Jackson. It's Shale Wiggum. Oh, fun cast.
And I think they really learned, and I know you like Godzilla a lot, but I think that they really learned from Godzilla, which is, hey, this is who we came for. Can we have more of that monster?
Right. Yeah.
So it's nice that King Kong was in it a lot more than I thought that he would be.
Yeah, and not only that, but they also had really fun set pieces around Kong and around the other monsters. They designed the set pieces to showcase the attributes of the monsters, and each one was different enough, and it kept it moving. Actually, once it got into the island, things moved pretty fast.
Yes, and I love how this film is so beautiful to look at. Like it's just, I mean, you see it on the poster as well, where Kong is just standing in front and he's being silhouetted by the sunset or the sunrise. I'm not sure which one it is. I guess it's the sunset.
Yeah, and those are great posters. Really good posters.
Yeah, really fantastic posters. And then, there's a lot of top-down view as well when the helicopters are going. And there's, one of the greatest thing about this film is that there are so many trailer shots in this film that weren't in the trailers, but they're so well done and they tell so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's the true. You can tell that that's really good cinematography if one shot can tell you a lot.
Yeah, this is Larry Fong, whom I think is kind of underrated as a cinematographer. He did, if I'm not wrong, Watchmen and Super 8, and I think Batman v Superman. So he's pretty good. I like Larry Fong a lot, and this is directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. I have not seen his earlier films. He did something called Kings of Summer, So this is his first big film, and it's really, really good in
Yeah.
considering that he has not done anything of this scale before.
I mean, there's no glaring plot problems for me, so I think the plot is
Yeah,
okay.
it's really
My
straightforward
biggest
adventure story.
my my biggest problem with this, it's not really a problem to me because I love King Kong so much in this film, and I think the supporting cast is amazing. But Tom Hiddleston's character is so bland and boring that I kind of forgot that he's there. I think even Brie Larson had more to do
Yeah,
in this film
I
because
like what they did with Brie Larson because sorry to interrupt you, but they were trying to play on the idea of Kong and the blonde girl, which we have from the classic origin story, but they didn't make it all the way into a romance. And they
hmm
had like moments of affection between them and moments of understanding between them. But I really like how they reinvented the origin story for Kong because I think the way they did it fits very nicely within the Monarch Monsterverse world. And the
yes.
locations are beautiful, as you alluded to earlier. The shot is mainly in northern Vietnam, in Hawaii, and on the Gold Coast. And it makes it feel like Skull Island is a real place, not a
Yeah.
soundstage.
And I love how the natives, I guess, are they Chinese?
The
They're
Iwi,
Vietnamese, I
yeah,
guess.
IWI, the Iwi people.
They look so
So
awesome.
cool. Yeah, the tattoos and
Yeah.
the war paint and the idea of like I mentioned this when we talked about the trailer, the perspective, you have to move to the right position for the images to come together and tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice.
Yes, it's so cool. The whole film visually is amazing, and you also get one of the best things about Godzilla was how you could get the sense of skill, and King Kong does it fantastically as well. Like this film is so fun. I don't think I've had so much fun with a film in such a long
Me
time.
too, yeah. And that was great because once they set the tone and the prologue is very creative. You see the logos over a blue sky and then you hear gunfire. Then you're like, what's going on? And then you realize, oh, they're depicting a dogfight, but we did not see the
Mhm.
planes. We just see the
Yeah.
guys crash land. Oh, really, really cool.
And I really like where they went with that story too.
Yes, the
We shall
prologue.
not
We
spoil it,
won't,
but
yeah.
I really like it. It's very sweet, and I think it's a really great metaphor for what King Kong is to humans.
Yeah,
I guess.
and here's the thing: whenever you have a giant monster in a movie, you need to establish that there are good monsters and there are bad monsters. So how do you do that? How do you establish that Kong is the good guy even though he kills so many people? You explain that, oh, we are intruding on his territory. He is provoked, but it's natural. He doesn't have a propensity towards violence, and then you show much worse creatures. So the way they set them up in this, I think, was actually quite a bit better than in Godzilla, where you have Godzilla versus the Mutos, but Godzilla doesn't seem that great either.
Yeah, he's just like, "Ugh, I'm just gonna
Yeah, he's
need
kind of
to get rid
annoyed.
of them because nature and whatever."
Right, yeah. And then this one, Kong, there are moments where you see his emotions and the performance capture acting by Terry Notary and Toby Cabell, who were both in Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, is excellent. This
By the way, Toby Cabell, I thought he was one of the men, right?
he did both roles. He did the man, and he
Okay. You
also was
see,
sometimes King Kong.
I found that odd because I saw Toby Cabell's name and I thought, oh, okay, I guess he's King Kong, and then I saw him as one of the soldiers, and I was like, oh, that's a waste of a talent, I guess.
No, yeah, he did both. I think he shared the role with Terry Notary. If I'm not wrong, Terry Notary did most of it. Terry Notary is also the movement coach for Avatar, so he is someone who has a lot of experience with this performance capture technology. There's one moment in particular of Kong acting which I love. I think my favorite bit is he grabs the tail rotor of the helicopter and it slices into his palm, and he doesn't know what that is. So he has this brief moment of confusion when he looks down at his palm, it's like, what happened? How come it got cut up? And that was
Yeah.
really, really cool. It's little things like that and the nuances in it that really ground what is just a giant pile of CGI.
And I really love how, oh man, all the fights, all the action set pieces was so good as well.
Yeah, I think my favorite is the spider thing. The spider bit was awesome.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was too scared.
It was really like the first time you see its victim, you're like, what is going on? what is up with this? And then you realize what's going on, and they do this very, very clever thing with the legs of the spider and environment stuff. And it's so
Yes.
disorienting because you're below and you're looking up, and
No,
it's
what
very
what I really love about this film and how all the action set pieces are is that they use the environment to their
mm-hmm.
advantage. And that's really, really fun to see them come up with things like, for example, King Kong taking up, a tree and then just slicing off the branches to make it look like a bat. I think that was so
Yeah,
cool.
he's like, he shreds off the branches and then he swings it at the skull crawler. Oh yeah, it's because the movie is called Skull Island, so you want Skull Island to be a character, and it totally
Mm-hmm.
is. But it kind of brings me to the point where there's a guy who's suing Warner Brothers for allegedly stealing his ideas, and then I had a look at this case, and I think he kind of has a point. He's a fantasy artist and writer who created a picture book called King Kong of Skull Island, which is the
Okay.
idea. The idea is imagining Skull Island itself, and it's not exactly the same thing because he doesn't have the 70s setting, but he went in to pitch it to Warner Brothers and to Legendary. So I don't think they took all of his stuff, but I feel like he should get some compensation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
it
nice.
sounds a bit fishy. You see this happen a lot with creative people, especially creative people who are not in the movie industry, like comic book artists and fine artists and things like that. And this guy, his stuff is beautiful, and it was officially approved by the estate of the director of the original King Kong. So Marion C.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper's family like approved his King Kong story, and he was about to do a TV series with it, but the producer either pulled out or passed away or something. Yeah, so that's slightly suspicious.
I
Yeah,
see.
but
Well, I hope. Well, if he's the one who actually came up with all this, he deserves to win that case because it's very creative.
yeah,
And really, the best part about this film is Skull Island
mm-hmm.
itself. And obviously, I love the supporting cast so much. Like Samuel L. Jackson was just having so much fun in this
He
film.
was,
John
yeah,
C. Reilly as well.
and yeah, he got to play like the Great White Hunter archetype, and Samuel Jackson compared the character to Ahab in Moby Dick. He's just obsessed with hunting the whale, and he's just obsessed with hunting King Kong. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hiddleston, for all the world, he looks like he's cosplaying Nathan Drake, which is
Oh,
hilarious.
Nathan Drake. No, Nathan Drake has a lot more personality than
He's
that.
he's wearing Nathan Drake's costume, so he's trying to look like Nathan Drake, which I thought was hilarious. But okay, he doesn't. I don't think he can really pull off the rugged action hero thing the way Chris Pratt can. I think they were looking for like an English Chris Pratt is what they were looking for. But there's one scene where he wears a gas mask and he's slashing the pterodactyls in the middle of swirls of noxious gas. I'm kind of like, this is hilarious. I love it. I'm sold. So from that point onward, I was okay with him in the lead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is just so ridiculous, and he was like going to John C. Reilly, show me the sword. And John C. Reilly throws in the sword in slow motion.
Yes,
I love it.
that
I
part.
love it.
Oh, no, this film is so fun.
It
Like
is.
I really love it, and I think people should watch it on the big screen because it really enhances the experience so
And the
much.
3D is pretty good. I watched it in 3D.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it in 3D. I didn't know it was still around.
I saw it in IMAX 3D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the premiere, and it was fun because you really got a sense of the scale, and you got a sense of the magnitude of Skull Island itself, and they sold it. They sold it a lot. I like the iwi. I like all of the different elements of it. I just kind of wish that not all the monsters were shown in the trailer because I went back and the trailer showed every monster.
Yeah.
Which is a
Okay.
bit of a shame. Yeah, I would have liked the spider to be a surprise, for example. The spider was awesome.
I don't remember seeing the spiders in the trailer,
It
so
was, yeah. It was just
thank God for my terrible memories.
Yeah, I wish I had terrible memories sometimes. I mean, that's why, like, with Beauty and the Beast, I'm staying as far away as I can from hearing anybody sing. I don't want to hear anybody sing until my butt is in the seat in the theater.
Oh, then good luck. I've heard them sing. It's terrible.
Oh no! No, I also, like, I'm still trying to get over the fact that all of my favorite songs from the musical are not going to be in there. I'm really torn up about that. Really.
There is one new song for Beast.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how well. Yes, it's I'm not sure how well the actor is gonna sing it, but I did hear the cover song for it, and it is amazing.
Josh Groban.
It sounds so. Yes, Josh Groban. He's so
I
good.
love Josh Groban so much.
Um,
Yeah,
uh, Evermore sounds like a Disney. It sounds more like a Broadway song than a Disney
which is
song.
good.
So I think that's why I love it
But
so
I
much.
can't possibly fathom it being better than If I Can't Love.
I think it's just as good because I think the lyrics are, it's really good.
Okay, I will take your word on that.
Yeah. But I don't know whether you'll hear. I think Josh Groban isn't singing for Beast, right?
No,
So I
that's
think it's a
Steven's
cover
it.
song.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
Celine Dion is
Well, I
covering
hope
the
he's
other music.
better than Emma Watson when it comes to
Sam
singing.
Watson
So
is not good.
he's autotune like crazy.
Oh, okay.
That's all I can
That'll
say.
be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kong Island, please see it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, what is interesting about this is that it wasn't on a lot of people's radar. Like, it wasn't something people were super excited to see, and then it was a bit of a surprise how much fun it was. And it's gotten really good reviews in general. Also, there's a post-credit scene. Did you stick around for post-credit scene?
I did stick around,
Yeah.
but I didn't see anything.
Didn't see anything. Okay.
No.
Do we want to have a spoiler marking here?
Sure. I'll okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So
Why not?
this is what the post credit scene is. They do this thing which is really fun, where Tom Hiddleston just in darkness, you hear his voice, "Well, you're just gonna sit there. You're enjoying this, aren't you?" And then it's like he's addressing the audience, and then the lights come on, and you see that he is talking to someone behind a one-way mirror, and he's like in this interrogation room with Brie Larson. And then they're like, why are we being held here? We're not going to tell anybody the secret. We know that there's no island, there's no Kong. And Corey Hawkins and China Pandering Woman come in and show them these slides and say, Kong is only the beginning. So, cave painting of Godzilla. Okay, pretty cool. We know that's going to happen. Cave painting of Rodan. People are, alright, nice. Cave painting of Mothra, and then cave painting of King Ghidorah. And finally, a painting of Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah, and then the whole thing ends with a giant Godzilla roar. So yeah, that's
okay.
really, really neat because in the end credits, just before this scene comes out, I had a hint of what it's going to be because the end credits say characters of Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah are copyright Toho Studios. That okay?
That's bullshit. I did not see that, and I stayed.
You didn't see that?
No, it wasn't. I don't know why. I guess you just forgot.
Oh yeah, you should. That's terrible. Boo, bad cinema. Which cinema did you see it in?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say what cinema it is.
All right, yeah, I understand. But that's a cool end credits tag, isn't that?
Okay, I'll go search that up and then I'll send it to Lucas because he was like, "Oh, I really wanted to see Mothra."
Yeah, it's not them per se, but it's cave paintings of the creatures.
I think that's good.
It's good enough. Yeah, I actually don't want to because we had an idea this is gonna happen. They showed this at the Comic Con sizzle reel, I think in 2014, like when Gareth Edwards was still attached to direct. He presented this clip from the set of Rogue One, and he said, here's this classified monarch thing." So it was just really blurry footage of Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan, and then they had the words "Let them fight" over it. So that was during the legendary presentation. And the legendary presentation ended with the pitch reel for Kong Skull Island, which was at that time only known as Skull Island. So it was a British-ish voice doing a voiceover, like a really haunting, melancholic voiceover, and he was saying, we're going into the very heart of darkness. And then you saw the camera move into the CGI forest, and the trees rustle, and out of the trees bursts King Kong. So that was how they announced they were going to do this movie.
Oh, okay.
Which is really
I did not know that story.
Yeah, and at that point of time, it was kind of like a pitch trailer, so we didn't even know whether it would happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a weird thing to say in Comic Con if it's just a pitch story.
I think I think they probably were going to make it, but they only knew the basic idea because it was like only CGI footage and it was just made for Comic Con. So I don't think at that point they even had a director yet. And yeah, so the main influence of this movie is Apocalypse Now, which is based on the Joseph Conrad novel Hearts of Darkness. That's why Tom Hiddleston's character is named Conrad. So I thought that was a really cool little shout out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying trivia at this point.
No, it's great. I never knew about this, so it's very interesting. Because to be honest, after Godzilla, I'm like, I don't think this monster movie,
Universe.
cinema, yeah, universe is for me. And then I watched this, I'm like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think
So
like
it's nice to know all these things that I didn't know about.
thank you. And Godzilla King of the Monsters is going to star Millie Bobby Brown, aka 11 from Stranger Things.
Well, I hope she doesn't die in the first 20 minutes or something. Sorry.
11 is our new Bryan Cranston. They even have the same haircut.
Aw.
No, yeah.
I think she looks. Yeah. Okay. So let's from one good movie to another.
Yeah.
What is Logan about? This one will have spoiler discussions because I think it's really hard to say
It is.
how we feel about this film without the
We're
spoilers.
gonna dive deep.
So go on, Chad.
Okay, so Logan is the final outing for both Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Sir Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. So this is directed by James Mangold, who previously directed The Wolverine in 2013, and this is intended to be kind of a closing chapter for the story. It's set in 2029, I think. So by this point, Wolverine is about 200 years old, and his powers are weakened because the adamantium with which his bones have been laced has been slowly poisoning him from the inside out. So he's trying to lie low and trying to make a living as a limo driver in El Paso, Texas. In the meantime, Professor X is 90 and he's senile. His powers have failed him and he is on the verge of like a mental breakdown all the time. So Wolverine needs to get medicine for him, and then he's cared for by this albino mutant named Caliban, played by Stephen Merchant, who is sort of his caretaker. So all of their lives are turned upside down when they encounter this young girl named Laura, played by Daphne Keane. Laura is also known as X-23, and she is the result of an illicit program by the company Transigen, and it's headed by this evil scientist called Dr. Xander Rice. Well, yeah, I'm not sure how much to give away that isn't public knowledge from the comics and from like the TV show, but
I think a lot of people don't really know the comics though.
Alright, yeah, so he meets this girl. She has certain abilities because she's from this program, and they end up going on the run because they're pursued by Donald Pierce, played by Boyd Holbrook. He's a cyborg and he's the leader of the Reavers, which is a mercenary army who has been employed by Xander Rice. So the makeshift family unit, this pseudo grandpa, pseudo dad, and pseudo daughter, go on this epic journey across the United States to try to get to safety in Canada, where there's supposedly a mutant oasis called Eden waiting for them.
So this X-Men, this Wolverine film, that's the thing that I love so much about X-Men films, which is it makes zero sense in terms of continuity.
Yeah.
And it does that really odd thing of having a really, really bad film. Well, I didn't think it was that bad, but a bad film. The general public thinks it's a bad film, which is Apocalypse, and then now we have Logan, which everyone loves now.
Yeah,
so
it's fun because we've had so much whiplash. In last year alone, we had Deadpool. Everyone loved Deadpool. We had X-Men Apocalypse. A lot of people didn't like that, myself included. And then now we have Logan, which everyone loves. So we go through this whiplash of Marvel should snatch the rights back from Fox. No, Fox has got it under control.
And to like this is why Marvel rights should stay with Fox.
Yeah, I kind of love it.
And I feel like the reason why I like Fox and X-Men together is because they don't really have a vision for the future.
Yeah.
So they just let anything go.
They don't have.
So if this wasn't,
they don't have like an overriding cohesive idea because there isn't a Kevin Feige with an iron fist going right. Everything is gonna lead up to Thanos.
Yeah, and that's why I think I like X-Men films a lot because it feels very natural and it doesn't feel like it's going to this it's shoving itself into this hole. It's just whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's either to its detriment or it's to its advantage, just like what Logan is. Because Logan is so different from any other Wolverine films, especially Origins, right? And yeah, this film is so good. It's really, really good. And I love that it comes off like an indie film, except with action set pieces once in a while. But it's a very, very indie vibe to it. And it's great. And it's violent, but it's violent for the right reasons. And the only thing that I really have to complain about it is that it's R rated. So it has a lot of unnecessary swearing, I guess, and also a lot of unnecessary, not a lot, but there is one unnecessary nudity in it that kind of screamed, "Oh, we're R-rated now, so here, have some nipples," you know? I thought that was
I thought
not.
that worked because yeah, I mean I knew that that's what they were doing, but it works better than let's say the scene in Deadpool, which is set in a strip club, which you understand, that's what they're going for. But this is completely different in tone from Deadpool, so it's fun to see how this uses its hard R rating vis-a-vis how Deadpool uses its hard R rating, which is going to be very frat boy humor. There's going to be the violence is going to be kind of cartoony, a lot of blood, and there's going to be sex scenes and nudity and rude jokes. But this one, the tone is completely different from Deadpool.
And can we also just say that this is why I love the Fox Marvel films, because they're so different. Because if you look at all the Marvel films, they all feel the same. They have the same type of humor. They have the same type of seriousness. They have the same type of very weak villains.
Right, yeah.
So
because it's there's the corporate mandate which is hanging over all of them. And the big reason why I love Logan, well, one of the big reasons is that this isn't trying to set up for anything. It's not trying to tell you these are the breadcrumbs dropping hints for the next few movies. It's not trying to build itself a universe. It's really focused on the immediate journeys, the immediate stakes of this small group of characters.
Mm-hmm. And it does it so well. What do you think of Laura?
Yeah, well, before we get to that, I sort of want to talk about the background of this film and the reason why it is the way it is. So, Fox has many times mishandled the franchise, many, many times. And I think I think a lot of this has to do with Deadpool, really, because when Deadpool hit, Fox did not want the movie to get made. They so did not want it to get made. And then it got made, it got released, and it made gobs and gobs of money. So almost immediately we had the announcement that Logan would be rated R. So back then when we were discussing about this, we sort of came to the conclusion that it's just because Deadpool was a success. Then again, if there's any character who deserves an R-rated movie, it's a guy with metal claws coming out of his knuckles and who goes into this thing called a berserker rage. So I feel that the R rating, it's not a bad fit at all for this character. That finally we get to see him do gnarly, gnarly stuff. The claws, you get to see the claws come out bloodied. And also, I think because of Deadpool, Fox finally was like, it's not a terrible idea to let a director do what they want to do. So James Mangold was given what I think is complete creative control, which is marvelous because his influences, the 1953 Western Shane, the Johnny Cash songs, Mad Max, all of that stuff which he borrows from, really enriches the tapestry. It makes this feel like there's a solid idea behind it, and that's another thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, that as entertaining as they are, as uniformly well made as they are, a lot of them don't really have ideas driving them like this has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I fully agree. I don't like that we're bashing the
No,
Marvel
we're
Disney.
not.
I
We're
mean,
sort of comparing and seeing what works and what doesn't, because I really enjoy a lot of the Marvel movies. I just watched Doctor Strange with the Scott Derrickson commentary, and it's really, really good. He sounds like a very intelligent, very well-reasoned guy, and I like his stories of working with the actors and his approach to the themes. But I don't buy his defense for the whitewashing, which he tries. He tries to defend it.
I really need to watch more director's commentary nowadays. I think the last one I saw was Deadpool.
Right.
And I really like that one. What else is there?
Yeah, you wanted to go into Laura.
Yeah, Laura, she's so good.
Yeah, to talk
Fantastic.
about the character, we have to go into spoilers really, because there's a lot about her background that is very spoilerific.
Mm-hmm. what's there to say about this film that's not the action is good. It's very brutal and nice.
It's kind of slow burn in that it does not have really big impressive set pieces.
Yeah.
I think that there's a couple of chases, and then the big action set piece is when Professor X is freaked out, and then this freak out causes like a huge event, which is like a catastrophic thing, and that was pretty cool because we hadn't seen anything like that yet, and it also shows the extent of Professor X's power and what happens when he can no longer control it, which is very frightening. You sort of hear on the news that they reference this incident in Westchester. Westchester in upstate New York is where the X mansion is. So Professor X had some sort of meltdown that killed a lot of his students, is what they're implying.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Wait, was that a spoiler?
well, I mean, if that's what they're implying happened, they don't explicitly confirm it, but they say that this thing happened in Westchester. So
Okay, you know what? Let's just go into
yeah,
spoilers.
but that's the
Basically,
problem.
watch
Right?
this
Because
film.
talking about this movie without talking about the spoilers is hard, but I tried. I wrote a spoiler-free review about it.
Yeah, and I read it. It was a good review. Don't worry,
Thank
Jedd.
you.
I just watched this film. Watch this film, yeah, Jedd.
Yeah, no, it's so good. I think
Fantastic.
there are certain things you'll be able to pick up on if you have followed the movie so far and if you have read the comics, but would you say it's fairly easy to approach for a newcomer? I don't think people will be totally lost in the plot, I think.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they do. I mean, none of the X-Men films have really continued after one another, right?
Yeah.
Except maybe the first 3 films. But some of them were retcon also, and then First Class,
The
Apocalypse.
Wolverine was straight after X-Men: The Last Stand, so they reference a
Yeah.
lot of Gene stuff. I think this one it's floating in its own timeline island on purpose, so that
I guess you just need to watch the first X-Men to understand why Logan and Professor X are so tight.
yeah,
Because he's the one that saves him.
it is
but
it is so tragic because it always makes me remember the joke in the first X-Men movie where the first time Logan meets Professor X, he just sort of looking at the people in the room and says, "Okay, so you're Cyclops and you're Storm." He looks at Professor X and says, "What do they call you? Wheels?" Which I love because in the script it was Baldy and then Hugh Jackman changed it to Wheels, which is worse because it's making fun of his disability. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just go on to spoilers.
Right. Spoilers for Logan.
Could I ask you, how terrified were you when you saw that massacre happen to that innocent family?
I knew that was going to happen actually because
I was like, no, this film is not that mean. Oh, it was cruel, man. To see them all just die like that.
It was really cool because we spent so much time with them. They really gave them this really good character development, and I think I was a bit worried because it reminded me very much of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where he meets this like rip-off of Clark Kent's parents, and they give him their son's clothes. He's hiding in their house, but this was done much better than that.
Yeah, much better.
And
man, and like because the thing is, they also have kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have a kid, so to see that kid die first, and then the mom sees the kid die in front of her,
they think
and
that
then
it was Logan who did it. Yeah, which hurts the most. And yeah, the kid had a little like very cute bonding moment with Laura where they were listening to the iPod together. And then once they do that, you're like, everyone is going to die for sure.
Really, I thought, man, I thought they could be saved though because they went out. The father went out with Logan to fix the pump or something. And then he saves her. I mean, he saves him from the white people. So I thought, all right, I guess there's some sort of relief there.
It's so cruel.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's so cruel. I can't get over that. And okay, when I was watching this, I thought it's kind of weird that they chose a black family to kill off because I think the SJWs will get on them. But it's still really sad because they're portrayed as this really nice family who were so kind to give them food and shelter when they needed it.
Yeah, I think and what they were doing with that. Sorry, I cut you off.
It's okay.
What they were doing with that is they talked about them owning a small farm, and they're constantly being threatened, and the big corporation that owns the plantation, I think it's the sugarcane fields or corn, I think it's corn that they're making high fructose corn syrup from, is constantly trying to chase them off the land, and is using something called eminent domain. And then once you said that, I was like, oh, I see what's going on, because this is stuff that happens. There are a lot of huge corporations and sometimes government that tries to chase the little people off their land. And this happened in Scotland when Donald Trump, the current US president, tried to open a golf course. And there's a really good documentary about all of the Scottish people defending their land against him and the various very creative methods they use to chase him away.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of what that reminded me of, and the whole idea behind how the mutants got extinct, that they slipped in, anti-mutant hormones into the food. It's really disturbing, actually. The ideas in this, that it works so well, because the X-Men movies have always had a kind of a social relevance, and the first two are very on the nose, with mutant equals gay, very, very on the
Mhm.
nose. And in this one, the politics is subtle. It's woven in. You have the frat boys chanting USA, USA. You have the Mexican border. You have people trying to rush over from into Canada. It's a little bit post-apocalyptic, but America is sort of functional. I really like the setting and the way they establish this world.
Oh, I'm still so upset over that family death. But what you said, I never really thought of that. So it's very interesting that that's what you interpreted. I because the thing is, in this one, I didn't really look at it from a political standpoint as every X-Men film would have, where it's it's not the mutants versus humans,
Right, yeah.
but this one it's really just people trying to, I guess, human rights, right, to survive, and not. Oh, I guess that is kind of human versus mutants, except this time the mutants are. Well, they do want to make mutants though, so it's not really mutants versus humans.
So
It's more like this kid versus.
there's a
Well,
pretty good
I'm sorry.
there's a really good piece, an essay on birth movies death, which was endorsed by James Mangold. James Mangold tweeted out the piece and said this author really got it. So it's talking about the idea of an obedient, controllable minority. That is what Xander Rice and the government scientists wanted to do. They wanted to get rid of the mutants they couldn't control, and then grow their own mutants that they could control. And we
Yeah.
see that sort of parallel, especially in the US now, where it's like minorities are okay, they're doing stuff we want them to do for us,
Mhm.
and it's not on the nose. It's actually, you need to think about it, and you need to analyze it and pass it afterwards, which is what I like, because this movie, it has all of these themes, but at its heart is a really strong emotional story. And what hits you first is the feelings. What hits you first are the immediate journeys of these characters and what they've been put through. And then all this stuff, you think about it later. So that's, I think, how it should work. And the movies should not be built on the themes or powered by the themes. It should be powered by the emotions.
Oh, Jed, this is why I like you being here. You teach me how to be smarter about films.
Thank you. That's
Because
very
I'm just
flattering.
like, I guess all I got. I mean, really, the first thing I thought on why I thought this. Let me say that again. The first thing that I thought of when I think about this film is how I love the relationship between the father and daughter, the pseudo father and the pseudo grandfather,
Yeah.
the pseudo grandfather and the pseudo daughter, granddaughter, and that really just gets to me, because it's such a smaller film for a blockbuster film, where it's just about it revolves around these three main characters. And that's not to say that the other characters weren't good. Like, I like the guy who played the albino
Yeah, Caliban. That was a very
mutant,
surprising
Caliban.
Performance. I just realized that he's the same guy who voices Wheatley in Portal 2.
Never played Portal.
But yeah, he's a British comedian who is known for being awkward and tall. So I don't think he's ever really done a dramatic role. So
and he is fantastic in
Yeah,
this.
it's really, really emotional, some of the scenes he has. And uh, yeah, you're right. It really is about the journey of these three characters, and it's such an antidote to the bloatedness of a lot of recent comic book movies. I mean, X-Men Apocalypse, I thought, had way, way, way too many characters. And to a certain extent, so did Civil War, and with Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, you were also splitting your time between a few too many main characters. So for this one, it's like it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. We're not going to talk about teams. We're not going to run across the world or anything. We're just going to do
There's
this.
no giant metal thing floating in the
Yeah,
sky.
no portal that you have to close. So we're just going to do this road trip. And actually, I think the bare bones of the story are very familiar. It's really straightforward and a linear plot, but that doesn't make it a bad film at all. It actually makes it good because
A focused film.
yeah, it is, and I think it was Scott Derrickson who said this in the commentary for Doctor Strange, where he says he thinks that good movies have simple plot but complex characters, and
Yes.
bad movies have complex plot but simple characters, which I think is a
Yes.
really concise way of putting it, and that's really exhibited in this. It's a simple plot, complex characters.
Oh, what a great film! Like
So
I
good.
think this year it started off so well. Oh, Get Out is coming out next week, which is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Not really,
creepy.
but this past 3 months, I think there have been really great films, right?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, because we also get Oscar films.
We do, yeah. We get Oscar films a little
in the
bit
first
late,
2 months.
but yeah, the stuff like what did you like this year so far? That's really good.
I really enjoyed Hacksaw Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Kong Skull Island,
Yeah, so did
Logan.
I. There's a bunch
what
of
else did
good
I
things
watch?
this year, but because I see so many things, just forget. John Wick, I really liked.
Oh yes, I really like John Wick as
That was
well.
fun.
Did I say that I watched John Wick too?
No, you haven't talked about that one yet.
Oh, I really like that film. That's all you need to know because now we're discussing about Logan.
It's good, right? Yeah, but there was one scene where there's a woman cutting herself that was a little disturbing because they like lingered on it.
I'm not a fan of like beauty in murder.
Right? Yeah.
So
yeah.
I thought that part really disturbed me.
The sort of synthesis of sex and violence, which
yeah. I just don't think it's good that people are still doing that.
We had the Lego Batman movie.
Lego
which
Batman
was,
was pretty good.
Yeah.
Lego Batman was really good.
And then what else did we have? Yeah, I think those were the things I really enjoyed. I kind of sort of liked Collide. I thought it was stupid enough for me to have fun with it. That's the one where Nicholas Hoult and Felicity Jones are in an action movie with Ben Kingsley and Anthony Hopkins for some reason.
I think Logan, not counting the Oscar films, it's the best film that I've seen this year so far.
Agree.
And I think it's really hard for me to think that there'll be any other blockbuster this year that will be as complex as this, that will be as emotional as this, because I think a lot of blockbuster films, they're fun, but Logan is different in that there's more to it than just a good set piece and skill and all that stuff. It's really just about characters. And it's even something like Deadpool last year. A lot of people loved that. I thought it was just okay because everything was so simplified. Even Deadpool wasn't that much of a complex character. He was very simple. The only reason why people like him is because he's funny. And I guess he swears a lot.
I think people liked it because it played with the tropes, because it was
but it became the tropes. That was my biggest problem with it as well. It became what it made fun of, and that doesn't mean that it should be allowed to be what it makes fun of, because that just means it's a hypocritical film.
I think,
and that means that the film isn't smart enough to divert away from that.
Well, no, I have to disagree with you. I think that with Deadpool, it was kind of, I think it's an affectionate parody of superhero films. I look at it very much like Enchanted, because Enchanted became what it was making fun of. But
Enchanted had the princess saving the guy instead of the guy saving the princess.
I guess.
which I thought was a really nice,
and
to have that in a
and I
Disney
think
princess
well,
film.
Deadpool had Negasonic Teenage Warhead, so
Okay.
yeah.
Can I say something? There was this when they went to the Eden or
Right
whatever.
in Canada.
The I really like that leader boy,
Yeah,
Ricky or something. He's
he
awesome, man. Like
he kind of reminded me of Rufio from Hook.
he's great. Like yeah, was it the guy who voices Zuko?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
the character?
That's
Yeah.
him.
I I I don't know why I really like this character so much. Maybe because he's the leader character, but yeah, I really liked him and
I like the
I'm
little
not really
fat
sure what his
boy with the electric powers.
oh
He's adorable.
yeah.
Because he was also
Uh,
holding a Wolverine toy.
that's
Yeah,
cute.
I know. I oh, Dante Basco is the actor. So his name I forgot. I wish that he had left the toy on the grave. I
Oh,
know,
but
yeah.
he wants the
I
toy.
know, yeah, but anyway. Yeah, that little
Um,
gang of like the kids who were being brutal at the end, especially Pine Needle Girl, that looked like it hurt. Just like just perforating the guy with pine needles like a pincushion. I loved it.
I really love the kids in this film because you really I like that they took the pacifist route and just started running away from them and they don't really want to fight,
But
but
yeah,
they
then
only
they're
fought
pushed
when they
into it.
needed to.
The
Yeah.
the little video that the Mexican caretaker lady made
That makes no sense, by the way. How she can, take all these things without getting caught.
right, yeah. But I thought that was good storytelling because it really sort of established what that program was about, and then it was really sad when they couldn't have a birthday party. I was like, oh, don't do that. Yeah,
I was really sad when the Mexican lady died too.
yeah. I mean, all of the people.
She was going to die.
All the people
but
who are in this who are going to die. You sort of have a feeling. You have a terrible feeling that all the good people are going to die, and
yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? It does that, but it doesn't feel cynical, which is difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
It just feels like, oh, that's life,
Yeah.
and it kind of sucks.
and that's part of why the R rating works because life isn't censored. So if you have those powers and if there are people like the Reavers after you, there are going to be very bloody consequences. So that's what happened. Okay, what did you think of X-24?
He's scary. I like that he bled.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he wasn't finished yet. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah,
that's why
that's
he
right.
isn't that. That's why he isn't that
They
strong.
took him out of the oven
So-
and he wasn't fully baked.
Yeah, and I really like. I don't know. It feels like it's because plot, but I thought it worked really well. And the way he killed Wolverine was really gross, and I like
The
that.
impalement.
Yes, the
Yeah,
impalement. I was like,
with a
oh, he can't get out of
tree.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and the adamantium bullet I thought was a really good use of Chekhov's gun, which is the the principle in playwriting. Anton Chekhov says introduce a gun in the first act, fire it in the third act. So once you see them playing around with the bullet, you know that's going to be used later.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like the part of the movie that I'm iffy about is X-24 because I don't know how if they could have done it better. That it seems like a clone of him being the ultimate villain is a little generic for a movie that is so different in so many ways. I don't know. Am
But
I crazy?
I think it's okay because they needed someone to match the rage of Wolverine.
Right, yeah.
Because now no one is as strong as he is.
I think
So they kind of needed
a
him.
part of me was really missing Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth, which is fun.
Yes, a lot of people wanted
The
Sabretooth.
best
I heard
part
that.
of X-Men Origins Wolverine. He had fun with that role, and he also it felt like he was really trying his best to match up against Hugh Jackman. That they were doing a Shakespearean sort of my brother. How could you that kind of thing, which a little bit like Thor, and yeah, I missed Liev Schreiber in this, but I don't think it needed him to really work.
Yeah, maybe if he was there, that'll be a little bit too much.
Yeah, a bit distracting.
Because there was like one other villain reveal, and then there's X-24.
Yeah.
So I think X-24 is not as in the face as Sabretooth would be. So I think that's why it works.
Yeah, and he was wearing like Sabretooth's hairstyle and black clothes, so they were trying to cop to that. They were trying to acknowledge that he's a little bit Sabretooth. I mean, I like someone had this theory that maybe he could have been half Sabretooth, that he was half a clone of Wolverine, half clone of Sabretooth, which I don't think they were doing, but I think that would have been fun if they said that. Yeah, well, much earlier on, you want to talk about Laura, so let's do that now.
I really liked how she was super quiet throughout the film until she suddenly speaks. And is she actually Mexican or it's Mexican, right? That
Her mom is all their moms are Mexican.
Oh no, as in is the actress
Daphne
Mexican?
is Spanish English.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought what accent was she trying to pull off?
Spanish,
Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Spanish.
Well,
okay.
Mexicans speak Spanish.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna cut this out because I sound like a dumbass.
No, not at all. No, it's she's known for playing a role in this TV show called The Refugees, and she was born in Spain.
Okay. Well, I thought she was fantastic in this film. When she could speak, I don't know why I didn't think she couldn't, but I was like, oh, I guess that's a thing now. But I thought it was going to annoy me because I liked her when she was quiet and she used her eyes to like just kill people.
Yeah.
But when she spoke, I think she had a lot of very sweet things to say to Wolverine. A lot of she's fantastic. And do you think we're gonna see more of her in the future? Like, do you think they're gonna build a franchise off of X-23?
I think so, but I don't want them to do that yet. I want them to wait 5-10 years.
Okay.
I want them to.
Yeah.
I want them to do an X-23 movie when she's an older teenager or in her 20s, because in the comics right now, X-23 wears the mantle of Wolverine. Wolverine is quote unquote dead, and so the person wearing the yellow and blue Wolverine outfit is Laura. So
because I was thinking her promise to Patrick Stewart's character, Professor X, was to make sure that Wolverine didn't die, and she didn't do that. And I think that would have a lot of emotional
ramifications,
weight on her. Yeah, and I think that'll be interesting to see her trying to not follow, but trying to be what her father was, but at the same time she has to be her own person as well, which is the normal when you take up a mental thing.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like they will slot her into a team, but the problem is that any team you slot her into is not going to work continuity wise. If you slot her into New Mutants in the middle of the 80s, it's not going to work. And then if you slot her in with the current Baby Jean, Baby Cyclops, Jubilee, that's not going to work either. So I don't know what's going to happen, but they have to use this character. They have to use this potential because it's really, really awesome. And also what you're saying, the weight of having failed a promise, of having lost the only family she had. So yeah.
Do you cry at the end? Teared up maybe?
I was.
Are you heartless? No, I'm kidding. I didn't cry, don't worry.
So I heard a lot of people cry, and I felt like I wanted to cry, but I did not actually. I teared up a little bit, and I did get a lump in my throat when they started playing, When a Man Comes Around over the end credits, which is great, by the way. It's super, super clever. But I did not cry. I cried during Man of Steel. I cried during the flashbacks to Park's childhood because that affected me directly.
Yeah, me too.
Because I related to that very much. The scene where he locks himself in the closet in school, and then his mom is coming to help him out. Yeah, that got me. That got me back. So.
Me too. Yeah. Oh man, I cried so hard in that scene too. Yes, Jedd, we are one and the same.
Good,
but
yeah.
I didn't cry in this film. Mainly because the death was really brutal.
Yeah.
But what made me realize that? Well, I realized it quite some time ago. But what kind of confirmed that this was a really great movie was when she turned the cross to an X.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
Easily could have come off as really cheesy.
Yes.
But it worked.
No, yeah. And then that was the final shot, and I really, really liked that they did not do a post-credit scene. And another thing I really like is that there was no Stan Lee cameo. I think that that would have yanked me the hell out of it. And I think at this point, I know Stan Lee, he's not long for this world. Unfortunately, he's in his 90s, and he shot all of his MCU cameos at once. He shot 4 cameos at the same time. And one thing I learned from the Doctor Strange commentary is that his cameo in Doctor Strange was not filmed by Scott Derrickson. It was filmed by James Gunn.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
James Gunn shot like the cameos for four of Stanley's cameos in one day, just to make sure that in case Stan Lee is ill or unable to make it for any of them, he has these in the can. So I think that we still should not have an expectation that he has to be in every one of these, because some of them don't work. And we just saw X-Men Apocalypse having a terrible Stan Lee cameo where it's in the middle of a dramatic moment and it makes you laugh in the middle of a scene that sort of heralds the end of the world.
Well, it's Disney. They will probably use, technology on it.
They make a Peter pushing like a ghostly Excelsior! I am back from beyond the grave and the uncanny valley, true believers.
But I'm glad. But then again, they're not doing for Carrie Fisher, so that's a good.
Yeah, please
sign
don't do that, please. No. Oh yeah, I was at a concert last night and of the music of Hans Zimmer and John Williams, and the selection they chose from Star Wars was Princess Leia's theme, and everyone was so much feels in that hall. It's a beautiful flute solo. The flautist did an excellent job.
I really wish I could have gone, but I was busy.
It was
watching Kong Skull Island.
I think you had fun.
Oh, what else is there to talk about this?
What did you think of the use of comic books within the narrative? I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was okay. I mean, what I like about that is, I promised myself I won't mention this franchise, but I will. I'm sorry. So, in The Legend of Zelda...
No, you have every right to mention a franchise you love. Go ahead.
What I really like about Zelda is that it's called The Legend of Zelda, right? So it's just like X-Men. The continuity sometimes doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Like where the Master Sword is doesn't make sense sometimes because it's in the forest, but sometimes it's in the castle, but sometimes it's in the Temple of Time. And yeah, so it's so lucky that it's called The Legend of Zelda because all the continuity error can be blamed on it being a legend.
Oh, yeah.
So some of it is true and some of it isn't.
It's apocryphal,
and I think that's
passed down through the ages, right?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what the X-Men comic books were, which is you can pretend that the films happened, and some of it you've seen it. Maybe it's like an adaptation of the comic book itself, but that's not what really happened.
I didn't look at it that way. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What is interesting about those issues is that they are not pre-existing comics, and they were specifically drawn and written by Joe Quesada and Dan Panosian for this film. So you can look it up online, and they have like high-res scans of the comics, so you can read like the dialogue. And apparently, the X-Men Comics company within Universe was founded in 1985. So this is supposed to be a story from the 80s, which is weird because Rogue wasn't born yet, but Rogue is the main character in the story. So I love that the screwy continuity continues into the in-universe comics. Yeah. Right.
It's fantastic. Yeah, so great film. I'm gonna miss Wolverine a lot, but I'm sure he'll come back. Maybe not as Wolverine, but as Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and probably he'll hang out with Deadpool. I think they'll do that.
Have you seen an interview with Ian McKellen and Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart in Graham Norton?
Was it a recent one or?
Yes, it was very recent.
No, I've not watched that yet.
Please watch that. Oh my god, Ian McKellen, I love how salty he is that he wasn't in this film. It's so good.
It wouldn't have made any sense. I wouldn't have wanted Magneto to show up, actually.
Yeah. It makes sense, but I just love how Ian McKellen was just wishing terrible things on Patrick Stewart for doing this without him. It's very cute.
I mean, we haven't talked about Patrick Stewart's performance, but he should get an Oscar nomination for this. It is really, really good.
What about Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it's going to be harder to slide in a Best Actor nomination than a Best Supporting Actor nomination. But if you ask me, is this his best performance as Wolverine? For sure. Yeah.
And it's amazing too because he's always amazing as Wolverine.
Yeah. And I think
like there's never been a bad Wolverine role that he was in, just a bad Wolverine
exactly. Yeah. Well, I would argue that his performance in X-Men Apocalypse is not great because I found it just really, really
film.
silly. He's
I guess,
yelling at the security cameras.
but he did give it his all.
Yeah, he was trying. I mean, it was a directorial thing on Bryan Singer's part. I mean, this reminded me a lot of his performance as Jean Valjean in Les Miserables, where he's a good man, but he's a haunted man. He's a man who's broken by things he's done in the past. And he also has a relationship with a surrogate daughter in that story, with Cosette. Yeah, so imagine if Cosette had claws coming out of her hands and feet. There is a castle water. Ah!
I was about to diss her, but I think a lot of people are fans of her, so I won't say anything.
A lot of people think they are Eponine. Nobody wants to be Cosette. Come on, no girl believes she's Cosette. Every girl believes she's Eponine. I believe I'm Eponine.
Because someone has no personality and someone does.
Exactly, yeah. And someone is like, dies in the arms of the guy who friend zoned her. Oh my god.
So amazing film. I think I've said this like so many times, but it really is a really, really, really fantastic film.
Yeah, and then now we're going to have to wade through all the think pieces of people saying how overrated it is.
I don't think so. I feel like this is the Dark Knight of comic book.
I've read so many think pieces lambasting the Dark Knight and saying how overrated it is. So just wait. Yeah.
Okay. But I think in general people will still love this film. It's not like La La Land where everyone has turned against it.
I'm really, really like, why? No, it's La La Land is good, and I think that
I think so too.
A lot of the
thing is,
arguments are kind of baseless and projecting.
I'm not even a huge fan of La La Land, and I find myself defending that film like crazy.
Right, yeah,
because a lot of the hate obviously comes from them feeling like it's overrated. So they have to reach out to saying that, oh, it's sexist and there's mansplaining, and no, explaining to someone why they like something is not mansplaining at all.
Yeah, I know that really, really annoys me because I have been called mansplaining before, and I think someone like if somebody is in the kind of mood, they could listen to this podcast and say that I'm mansplaining to you every week.
Yeah, but you're not. You're just telling me things.
Thank you.
And I don't know why mansplaining is. I mean, obviously, men do talk condescendingly to women, but the same can be said for the other way around.
Yes, it depends on the context. It depends on the subject matter.
And also, a white man saving jazz. Well, he didn't really save jazz.
Yeah, I think they made fun of him for being as obsessed with old-fashioned jazz as he was. Because the scene is when his sister says Miles Davis peed on this rug, and he believes her for a second. I think that scene served to sort of say he is really, it's not healthy, the level to which he's passionate about jazz, and even though it's admirable, they kind of take a bit of the Mickey out of him.
Yeah, and it's also not fair because we're Asians. Are we not allowed to like American things?
Exactly. Yeah. If like you mean look at anime. If you does it automatically make you're claiming to be Japanese? If you like anime.
I mean, people do make fun of them being, freaking weeaboos. Right, yeah. But
not.
But at the same time, it's like you can't. I don't think it's right for you to segregate. Oh, because you're this particular race, you can't like this thing that is normally associated with this other race.
I think that's very unhealthy. I think that while the cultural appropriation conversation is an important one to have with regards to, who tells whose stories do we listen to, and you have more credence if you actually come from that culture. But the scene in the movie where he brings her to the jazz club, all of the players on stage are black.
Yeah. And also, globalization is a thing, and it's been a thing for thousands, or not thousands, but hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand. I think it's because they're white.
Yeah.
That's why people don't like it.
And then the additional thing of there are no gay characters in the movie. Where at this point, you're looking for things to complain about. I'm sorry. Like, would it have hurt the movie if there was a gay character in the movie? No, not at all. I actually think John Legend should have been gay. But it doesn't hurt the movie for it not having that either.
Yeah.
just really, really annoyed me, all of these
Yeah,
concurrent
me too.
releases.
And I'm not even that huge of a fan of the film.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and it really sucks because when Moonlight it won the Oscars, and they and I saw this tweet that really pissed me off, which was, "Oh my god, guys, did you just see that? Like a black gay film, a black gay trans, I guess, film just took away from white people." I'm like, what? You can't say that.
No,
That's
yeah.
like someone's hard work, and you can't just because someone is white or someone's a different color skin, it doesn't mean that they did not put passion and effort into something like La La Land. And La La Land is full of passion and hard
It
work.
is, yeah. And I felt terrible for both parties, for both Moonlight and La La Land, because neither of them
Because
could enjoy that moment.
yeah, exactly, because La La Land thought that they won, and they found out they didn't, and that's basically the ending of La La Land. And
it is, isn't it? Oh my god, yeah, I did not realize that.
And Moonlight, they didn't even have time to thank everyone that they wanted to because they were rushing for time.
Yeah, and like
So it really sucks for both parties, and I think it's not right for you to rejoice in someone else's pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just because they're white, that doesn't give you the right to be racist towards them as well. And yes, racism can happen to white people.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a landmark victory for Moonlight. It's also a landmark victory for Mahershala Ali, who is the first Muslim actor to win an acting award at the Oscars, which is awesome. But that doesn't mean La La Land is less worthy because it's made by white people, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like they are making a movie about how awesome it is to be white and how everyone else sucks. If they did that, then you can say good for Moonlight for stealing the award from them.
Yeah. And also, they should have been nominated in the first place if that was the case,
Yeah,
because that says a lot about the Academy.
That would be kind of hilarious if there was like just a Nazi white supremacist film that was up for Best Picture, but you never know seeing who is president these days.
But isn't the president of the Oscars like a person of color?
Sharon Isaacs is black, and they overhauled their membership criteria last year after the Oscars So White thing, because they don't disclose the statistics, but apparently it's very heavily skewed towards older white males in the Academy, and then they opened it up. So I think you have to at least have been nominated to be a member of the Academy. Yeah, I mean, I got into a really, really bad argument. You might have heard about it, but I got into a really bad argument over the Suicide Squad thing. And I think that the Oscars are not infallible, but I hate it when people try to discredit the Oscars and say that it's completely not a worthwhile judgment of anything, that any decision they make is crap, that nobody puts any effort into making any decisions. And like, a lot of people pull out the animated movie thing where they say that, they always vote for Disney because Disney is the only one that they watch. I think that's true to a certain extent, but I think Zootopia is a very worthwhile winner for Best Animated Feature this year. Like,
well, I am for the animated category not being there because they really do not watch all the films, and I think that's a shame because a lot of them are very good.
Yeah,
although I am glad that Zootopia won.
Either, really. All the shorts, and I think that the thing about the Academy is these are people who generally know what they're doing to be Academy members, and I don't like it when there's such an effort to undercut it. And when a movie that you don't like wins an award, you say the whole thing is crap, the whole thing is broken. So I don't like that. Yeah, I mean, having seen how, like, a little bit of how it works, having heard the process, and having been in the Samuel Goldwyn Theatre, and you see, well, this is cool. People take this seriously, and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is doing important work. It's doing worthwhile work, educating, doing outreach, and teaching film literacy.
Yeah, and I think because I'm not a fan of the animated film category because I don't even know what they're judging in terms of animated films. Like, are they judging the animation? Are they judging the story?
Are
they judging?
I think they're judging the best overall film within the medium.
Okay,
yeah, I think
so story. So basically, Kubo shouldn't have won. I mean, it didn't win, but it wouldn't have won in the first place. But I'm sorry. Well, to me, what I really loved about this year's Oscars for the animated film category is that there are 2 3D films. There's one I think 2 claymation films and then 1 2D
Yes, yeah,
animated
the Red
film.
Turtle is to be
And
animated, and then both My Life as a Zucchini and Coupon and Two Strings are stop motion.
yeah, and I love that that's a thing because I knew about the Red Turtle, but I didn't know it was that good. And My Life as a Zucchini, I've heard of it before, and there's no way I could have watched it. And I don't think I still can, but I'm sure they're gonna bring this over to Singapore because it is an Oscar-nominated film.
Yeah,
And because it's an Oscar-nominated film, they're like, okay, I guess maybe there's gonna be an audience for this, so they'll bring it over, then probably to like the projector or
they
something.
showed us clips
So
of all of the movies, and I mean, I guess it was a little bit charming, My Life as a Zucchini, but I think that it is very European because it's kind of based on a true story, so it doesn't have the fantastical nature of the rest of the animated films. It doesn't have the sweep, I think, that a lot of the other ones in category have.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was,
I heard the Red Turtle is just a silent film.
yeah, it's
Or like-
kind of a take on Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea. Yeah,
Okay.
where it sort of is supposed to be representative of man's relationship with nature, and then the metaphor for that is this guy and on the boat in the turtle. Yeah, but I mean that is a co-production between Japan and France, so it has the sensibilities of both countries, like higher brow animation, because it's Ghibli and a French guy.
Alright, so let's talk about movies coming. I think we're gonna have a podcast next week.
For Beauty and
Because
the
this is a-
Beast, yeah, I think
Yes.
so. Yeah, I hope I get to watch it because Disney's not letting me watch it. They already have had the screening. Fine. Yeah, no, I'm a little bit miffed about this because it's supposed to be it releases on the 16th, but the previous screening was on the 4th. I was like, what?
Hey Jedd,
Yes.
You know what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
Well, you know the symbols in Beauty and the Beast, the remake,
Right.
the song. So bad.
Mhm.
I hate it so much.
Oh yeah. I had this Facebook friend, even before the song came out, vehemently defending Ariana Grande and John Legend, and I was like, just wait, just wait. It's not going to work. No, I honestly I am not a John Legend fan anymore. I think he did not a good job at the Oscars.
I still like
think
him.
His voice does not suit either of those songs.
I think he's alright.
Yeah, Aluli Carvalho was such a trooper. She got hit in the head and she's kept on truck.
Yeah, she sang really well. Like, fantastic.
So good, yeah. This 16-year-old girl, like, what have I even done with my life?
And she's so cute, so I'm not that mad.
She's
I can't even get
adorable,
mad at her.
yeah.
She's too cute.
Oh, look up this video of Ariel Jacobs singing How Far I'll Go.
Aria Jacob. Oh yes, I've seen that
Yeah.
before. So
Like
good.
wearing the Moana costume. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I don't even like the song, but I love her singing it.
She's so crystal clear. I love it.
Yeah, her diction. I mean, there's a comment in the comment section about how listen to her diction and listen to Ariana Grande's
Yes.
diction. Just laughing about that for days.
Although I'm surprised that I could understand Ariana Grande as much as I could during the Beauty and the Beast. A little bit more than I thought I would. I should stop making fun of her because she's way more talented than I am. But
No,
I can't.
it's an easy target.
I can't stand her
because,
singing at all. She's powerful,
Yeah,
but I don't understand what she's singing.
Yes.
You should listen to
Yes.
her sing Zero to Hero from Hercules. I think she sang it during a Disneyland parade. It was so bad.
Oh yes. That sounds hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, and Get Out is coming out
yeah.
next week too. I don't think I'll be able to watch that, but I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it. It's only coming
I'm
out on
not
Cathay
sure.
Cineplexes, unfortunately.
Yes, that's right. And yeah, Cathay. I think they also had a very limited release for this cannibal movie called Raw that I just refused to watch because apparently people fainted
Oh.
and had to be hospitalized in screenings.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a
I-
marketing
it's-
tool, though. Like
yeah,
The
but I think it
Conjuring.
did happen. Because the story is about a vegetarian university student who is initiated into a sorority by becoming a cannibal.
Okay.
Yeah, so I genuinely think that is disturbing. So I did not watch it. And then my boss is like, it's okay, it's not getting a wide release, so you don't have to watch it. I was like, okay, thank you so much.
Alright, so that's it for this week. Next week
Yeah,
we'll be
bumper
back.
episode. And this is not the longest episode we've done, so I think we did very well for time.
Yeah, and that's because it's quite easy because we just I kept repeating, oh, that's a good film, that's a great film, oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's all we really
And
need to know.
yeah, And we also had a cameo from Vasily, who is still on the floor, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Stay down, Vasily.
Yeah, maybe he'll get a sequel though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Alright, so good night, Vasily, I guess. Oh.
Oh, no, Vasily got off of the ground.
Alright.
Okay, this is me signing off.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
Good luck,
guys.
Jedd. And see you next week, guys. Bye.